your productivity gains is much faster, failure is reduced, breakdown is reduced, check and balances is done, accounting and finance control is also automated. Humans who are working, they are also getting intelligence, and they are saying that now we can perform this matrix much smarter on a daily basis.
With me today, I have Alakh Verma. He is the CEO of B-Centric in Silicon Valley, California. He's also former director at Oracle and Microsoft, and recently he's assigned as a strategic advisor at PwC for AI and emerging technologies. He's also published author of the book Creating Business Agility, and I'll also include the Amazon link to the book in the description below. Alakh, how are you feeling today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me today.
Awesome. Now, today we'll talk a lot about emerging technology, a lot about AI, and a little bit more of a positive spin, because I think there's a lot of questions, a lot of fear around AI, even as this has been in our lives for the past 2-3 years. So let's start with that place. Can you tell me how are businesses, medium-sized, large, and small, how are they reacting, and how are they coping with AI being included in introduced in their businesses?
So, Zivko, if you look at the global transformation in terms of, I'll go top down
Yeah.
in terms of the governance at the country level.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll go down to the economy level of the country. Then I'll go down to what contributes to the economy of the country, right? It's all businesses across industry sector. So if you look at the seriousness attached at the country level, every discussion, whether it's Global Economic Forum or United Nations, this is talk in that level of engagement. That means AI is the mainstay, and people are talking about how AI is going to help transform the country's economy, and how the businesses across countries is going to help driving the economy growth. That is what AI today is. But the fact of the matter is how AI is seen down the line, right? If country leaders are accepting the value of AI is not only artificial anymore, but it is augmenting the human intelligence. So let's understand that particular phrase, augmenting human intelligence. Who are taking decisions? They have to base their decision based on facts, data coming around them. And those data and processed data gives the rich information. That rich information is enabling them to take the decision. But if the rich information is coming little late, that means you are missing the whole action, right? So we have to help those key level decisions based on the real time information coming to them on the fingertip. So a lot of things have to go in to build that augmented intelligence to the decision makers, whether at the country level or at the business level. So obviously we need to look at a very comprehensive strategy underneath to empower the business decision makers, the policy makers, the government level decision makers, so that they are not taking the decision anymore on their whims and gut feel, right? And that is the power of augmented intelligence today, which is acceptable. Now we can go across trenches and see whether AI is a silver bullet, or it has to be looked at as a very pragmatic view of deploying it across countries, across economic growth, enabling business growth to contribute at a level of economy and so forth.
Got it. If we're talking in, coming close to the end of 2020, we're talking that countries accept that this is part of augmenting the workforce and augmenting businesses and trying to use it as much as possible. Do you have other business leaders that say, country leaders that say this is not the way we want it to be done, and they're pushing back on adapting and accepting AI?
So there is pushback always, right? Because there is a fear, there's a notion of what will happen if robotics or augmented agent comes into play the role in terms of providing all this automation and intelligence, right? Is the data which is coming in is right, or process data is giving the right guidance to take actions, right? So those are the fears, and some of the trust factor is there, right? It has to come in over time. So let's look at it how this data model is built. We have seen the emergence of technology coming in from various transition, right? So we have looked at the transaction data store. Transaction data is stored, processed on relational data.
Mhm.
Relational database is rows and columns managed on Oracle, SQL Server, and DB2 of the world. Those are the databases on which those transaction history has been stored, processed, managed. That has done its part. But over the last 10 years, emergence of systems of engagement has come in, which is basically talking about how you are interacting with your customer, the stakeholders, partners, or at a country level, different media talking about, right? So, are you listening, capturing, and real time processing it and bringing in the mix of your decision making process? So that means it is not system of records which you're basing based on the transaction history has been recorded into your database, but now system of engagement. Systems of engagement, machine is also communicating, devices are communicating, giving you all of that. Now emergence of e-commerce, internet-based business transaction. So basically people are going online and transacting on web commerce. How you're going onto the web and doing all of that. So there is a web logs. So different data sources has come in. Capturing data in real time and processing it, cloud processing capability has enabled that data processing very seamlessly. That means the power of computing has increased over the years. So if we are giving the mechanism or the data framework by which we bring the data coming in, it can be processed quickly, right? So that means real-time actions can be provided if we are going online on the website, and we will be able to understand, provide you the guidance to do the transaction. On the same token, if you're coming on the physical premises, bricks and mortars,
Mhm.
retail stores or hotels, or on a manufacturing shop floor, or in a banking environment, you're also interacting with the people. So you need to have mechanism by which you listen to those customers or stakeholders in real time and provide intelligence. That is the magic which has come in through the processing capabilities. Now, analytics, which we have been talking about based on the warehouse model, data warehousing model, where you capture all the data, build a normalized data repository, and then based on key performance indicators, you provide intelligence to decision maker. That has done its part. But the processing capabilities has grown, and now augmented generation, retrieved augmented generation has come. That means in a real time process transformation, or we talk about GPT, or we talk about in terms of large language model, or we talk about agentic, which is the agents which can do the part. These are the discussions on the AI space, right? Whether or not it is going to be based on the data sets which come in. So chat gpt has solved on the internet data repository of certain years. Now people can say that it could be giving us some kind of a generative aspect where you put the prompt, it generates the answer, and answer is near accurate. You may challenge it, but then gives a lot of help in terms of automating tasks or getting intelligence. But is that relevant for all the businesses? Why MIT published review document tells us 95% of AI is not succeeding because of the factor which they have analyzed, because of biased data, because of not processed data, not because of the capability of the technology, but because not the comprehensive strategy has been put in place, which requires the data access, which requires to have data governance, which requires to have data based on your business domain on which you're going to apply this data model, right? So automatically the results will not be obvious and results will not be accurate for giving you actionable guidance. So if we took a comprehensive strategy, right at the scale, when we deploy your processes, map the processes in a structured fashion, which will transform the better results, which will go and deliver the right answers, then automatically the data comes in a very desired manner and the format. Once data comes into the model where you apply the algorithms, then it has to be trained over time, retrained, so that all anomalies are removed, all biases are removed, and then it becomes more accurate in terms of prompt-based answers. And that is the benefit of automation comes in. So I'll give you some examples.
Hmm.
If I'm helping a marketing team, right? Marketing team needs to go in terms of creating the branding, positioning, and communicating to what our brand is. Obviously, they require to have creative aspect to go along with it. Earlier, creative staff, creative team were creating all those creative arsenals or artifacts based on the tools and technology, which used to consume some time. Nowadays, we have a lot of tools based on your scheme and themes. Automatically, creative is created, which is near perfect.
Yeah.
That means it is a fraction of minutes is done. Automatically, your productivity gain is much higher. So that you can run the campaign based on the creativity you have created. If I go down to the track of sales, the sales methodology can also be done providing all the resources to our sales team based on just the prompt what salespeople are looking for. Some generic coming from the internet where salespeople are researching, and that gives you a proper document, proper presentation, proper email construction, proper campaign which salespeople should be performing. It gives us a lot of productivity. It's not replacing any human, but augmenting the sales task, marketing task. If I'm looking at again procurement also the same thing. Which item need to be procured based on your company's specific data sets, customer trend, demand forecast? Automatically, the system will start guiding that this product need to be procured by this vendor. So augmented intelligence is given to the procurement team. Obviously, there is a supply chain, time, shipment, all of that has to be factored into the account. Who is training that is based on the AI model. So Zivko, I'm giving you some artifacts on which AI is here to stay. AI is going to augment our intelligence to perform better, and business leaders are understanding it now because they have started using some of the generic stuff. But now they're introspecting, saying, tell us how our organization can embrace this for our data, for our set of customers, for our set of suppliers. How can we improve our business processes, which can help us to improve our profitability? That's the bottom line. If businesses are profitable, what will happen? Your economy will grow. More customers are spending, more customers are buying, businesses are growing, economy is growing, right? Seamless execution is taking place, right? That means interoperability is happening between suppliers and customers and salespeople. That is the level of process transformation we are talking about. So many areas where agents can help. Agents could be soft agents who are trained, deployed on the proven models, which can empower those tasks. And those tasks are mundane tasks, which I was talking about.
I'm going to take a couple of steps back because I was taking notes of all of this, and I think I had like a aha moment where you were walking us through the process of how you get to the place where your business can truly use AI, and kind of painting a very clear picture of how we got here and why it stays here, the whole process. And it sounded like the fundamental is you don't have access to your data. You can't provide the data to an LLM or to an AI agent, and then you're complaining that AI is not for you. Do you have data structure? Do you have data architecture? Do you have access to your own data? Do you store it somewhere properly? Not the transactional one that you were mentioning, the other stuff. If you have that created, then you start putting layers of AI on top of it to start to augment the process for your employees and for your workforce. And then you start to see the profitability. And it feels like most businesses want to use it on other public domain data. They don't have access to their own proper way of storing their own data. Therefore, they struggle to adapt and to see how AI can be used in their business. Am I following this process right?
Accurate, absolutely, Zivko. You are touching on the topic of data, right? Everybody understands now that data is the new fuel. Data is a lifeline for business. Without that, you will not able to function. Without that, you will not be able to take effective decisions. I'll give you again examples.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that you have 100,000 customers, out of 100,000 customer, who is your high paying customer? Who is champion customer? Who is loyal customer? Who is not that customer? So 80-20 rule applies. 20% of 100,000 is your champion customer who are all the time buying and serving and getting all the benefits which you're offering. Obviously, you have to have understanding of that so that you take the right action. Communication has to be tailor-made, customized for those set of customers, right? Who is going to provide you that guidance? Now, if I'm telling that guidance that each and every set of customer need to be communicated differently, personalized, that means this is the task. So automatically this task can be automated through the agents that send this message to my champion customer. This message to my customer who is not coming in regularly, maybe a customer at risk. This kind of message has to go into my customer who has already lost, who has gone to my competitor. I wanted to regain them back.
Mm-hmm.
That means all this task, if you do it automated with personalized, generated by the agent, there is absolutely productivity gain.
Yes.
And you will be able to generate the revenue, direct impact on the revenue.
Yes.
Now, if I'm looking at again certain aspect on the shop floor of manufacturing,
Mm-hmm.
the robotic task which has to be performed, there is a robots is coming in to do the heavy lifting, right? Heavy lifting from one part to another. Do I need to think twice? Should I have the human to carry the heavy workload and lift it, or should the robot do the task? So it's a very genuine decisions that, okay, let robot lift this heavy lift item from place 1 to place 2 and do the job. Same thing goes into the manpower. If I have the skills which is doing that task, which is repetitive, I will do my soft agent, which is built by our LLMs or by our MCPs, and that will be trained to perform that task. Very smart. So that automatically the manufacturing processes, which is doing checking on the manufacturing devices, could be doing those tasks to be automated through the agent. Agent is doing this. You are getting a smart manufacturing. Your productivity gains is much faster. Failure is reduced. Breakdown is reduced. Check and balances is done. Accounting and finance control is also automated. Accounts payable, if I'm looking at it, which invoices to be paid, agent can check the validity of invoices and release the payment. If you have to receive the payment from your customers, automation of those tasks through the agent can be done. Which customer is due to pay today as per your payment terms? Automatically invoice has to be immediately published online through the agent, and follow-up should continue based on the soft agent is tasked to do perform tasks sequence based. If it is not transferred money by the customer, repeat message like this, follow-up message like this. Now that task is augmenting the process, augmenting the human's intelligence, and that is where we come in to map the entire business processes, look at from consulting standpoint, so that if we tease it apart, procure to pay, right? Procure to pay meaning you're buying products, services, and you have to pay on the payment cycle. Automate the task through the soft agent assign the communication and engagement so that it should not be. Similarly, if I'm saying order to cash, procure to pay, order to cash, is that mean customer has placed order, you have to receive payment. All of that processes which you're mapping, hire to retire. If I'm hiring persons, hiring some engagement services, how can I retire over a period of time? So that these are the things which can be automatically done by our soft agents. Now, automatically, I'm augmenting in human in the loop. Humans who are working, they are also getting intelligence, and they're saying that now we can perform this matrix much smarter on a daily basis. So 8 hours in a day you have. Suddenly you are performing at 100% or sometimes more of your efficiency because you are using all these tools. Your emails are faster, you're communicating much faster because of augmenting your email communication. You are familiar with that now, how email you can construct and use it. Similarly, how you can establish your notes in meetings. Automatically, you know that you don't have to take notes anymore. Now, all of that, what I'm walking the talk, is augmenting and saving your time for you to perform some other task. You are not replaced. I am not replaced. I'm at, let's say, at one company, I'm performing as a CEO role at B-Centric, but what I'm doing at PwC, I'm also playing a role of advisory. Because of the knowledge and skills and positive attitude, you can contribute more and more to the larger scale. And that is why I'm saying that it is all coming to augment us to perform better, to contribute better in our business, to the country, to the economy, and to as a whole to our society, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. I feel like you're creating a clear picture of what is really happening right now. These are not hypotheticals. These are things that you see, that you talk with businesses and with leaders of countries every day. You see the robots that do the heavy lifting. You see how a company of 5,000 employees will implement this across the whole company and have a plan from hire to retire, how agents are taking, accounts receivable and balancing for accounting firms. You're seeing all these things, and these are real. It's happening. It's not a theory anymore, and you notice the benefits. You're seeing the benefits of all these things happening. But let's bring another person in this conversation, someone that hears all of this and feels it as a burden, that you're like, wow, I feel so behind. Do you see a lot of FOMO going around when you start talking about AI?
100%. When the hype curve comes to the maturity, right? So AI was a hype some years ago, right? But as ChatGPT has proven the benefits of its usage, right? People realize that, look, it's not hype anymore, it's real. That means everything is getting maturity level. So if I don't use it, I might lose it, or I might be not relevant in the business. I'll give you an example. If, let's say, banks, who's a smart banker, interacting with customer very effective, onboarding customer with KYC, with all validity checks done through the AI models. Obviously, interacting with customer takes some understanding, some knowledge, some intelligence. Now, if AI agent is well trained, a lot of things can be automated, so the customer friction is reduced. Friction meaning onboarding customer, creating the account, serving the customer more personalized. If that bank is smarter with less people, that means other bank is losing out on a customer, right? I will be more switched on to other bank as compared to my other bank, which is traditional, right? Now that example applies to retail. If I am a retailer and a CEO, CFO of retailer, why I am losing out my revenue? Because other retailer has moved on with all smart widgets, communicating with customer. Customer is one entity, one object is the same. Every retail business is targeting the same customer if you are into that segment. Obviously, they will be losing. And if you're losing on a sliding scale of the revenue, it's very difficult to stop. So you have to start thinking, how can you also jump in right now, engage pragmatic people. Do not go with anybody and everybody. That's where we come in as an expert consultant. Expert consulting will always give the pragmatic view of the business transition, the state of the affairs, what you are today. Somebody need to do the checks and balances to study the facts. How are you running your business today in terms of processes, tools, technology, applications, data? How is data organized? Now, if we understand that, then we can give the roadmap. This is the transition we have to make, let's say on the customer side first, because there is a customer side and there is your internal side, then your stakeholders, right? In the business ecosystem, you have to look at customers, suppliers, internal processes, and all of that. So in that quadrant, customer, if you start looking at it, then easy to measure the result, measure ROI on that. Then you take up the next, procurement, demand-based procurement. If your demand forecasting, demand prediction accurate, that means you can do your procurement much better. You can do the suppliers understanding much better. You can also do inventory management much better. If you are doing all these tasks better, your gross operating profitability goes up quarter on quarter, month on month. That is what we call phased deployment of that. But unless we do all of that in a very professional manner, getting the employees on trust, getting your consultant vendors on trust factor, you will not succeed. It's not plug and play. Everybody gets it by now. Like if I am talking in the boardroom, every CEO and CFO understands it, that their skin in the game is needed. It's their data, it's their business. Unless they are transparent and share, AI cannot do the magic. It's not a silver bullet, as you rightly said in the beginning. It has to be the journey in which both has to participate. And participate in a way they should have the critical assessment. What has worked? What has not worked? Maybe the data organization need to be revisited. Maybe your process need to be tweaked again, what we call process transformation, business process retransformation. Retransformation, one process has worked, one other process did not work. It has created some little bit of friction. We have to again correct it. That is where we go in what we call supervised, unsupervised. First you supervise for a few months. What has delivered? This has delivered, put it on autonomous. Then correct other one. Then go again autonomous, autopilot. Even in the example of self-driving, I can give you correlation and analogy, right? How do we go with the auto self-driving? You see that most of the car makers today, they are bringing autopilot, but they are testing it with various roads, traffics, and all of that. Then they are releasing it. Autopilot is working. Now you're full, monitored driving, self-driving. Then you're going with complete without driverless, right? That is the example fits into the business with AI deployment. First, advanced analytics. Understand where your business is. What is not performing? We will tell you that. Where you want to be, right? That is the next path which will start guiding which area need to be automated with AI models. Autonomous is the factor on which we have to work. No replacement of humans. Process transformation always empowers people. We have always given the analogy, when internet was coming, people were having fear first. Once fear was eliminated, then FOMO came. Everybody said, hey, I'm not on the internet, I'll be losing out of the business, right? Then they started adopting internet ways. Everybody is available on the internet today. That is where the state of affairs today with AI.
Okay. It's it's a nice way that you were closing it. You were giving the steps that it starts with the consultation. The expert consultation is the first step to understand if you have this fear of missing out. So don't just go scrambling and just buying and throwing things and trying to figure it out. You want to start with an expert consultant to map out how the process will work. And some of the the first steps you were laying out is that advanced analytics, what doesn't work, then where you want to go with those things. And it sounded like the fast ROI is client facing stuff that you can see coming fast, and then you get a little bit more comfortable with it, where you have supervised, and then switching it to semi-automated, then eventually going to fully or 90% automated process, where you're doing it as a journey, as piece by piece, and it's not too late. You have the, it sounds like we have the fear of missing out because we're just slapping things and trying to put things in random places without a clear map of this is how it will be, because I'm augmenting this, and the most important piece is the buy-in from the employees and from the team, that you're not replacing, you're augmenting, you're increasing productivity through all these automations. Now, when someone, let's say someone talks to you and they start the plan with you and start to map out, are there other tools or AI or LLMs that you start to advise for people to try to use or to implement that are doing better than other ones? Or have you seen use cases, some perform better for this one performs better, so if you are in that industry you should try this model, or if you're in this industry you try this model, or in this point there is no clear difference between which one you want to use, you just need to basically start the process?
Well, I'll stay agnostic, right? As a wearing the hat of advisory. So obviously, I like to be more pragmatic in the, going with the right tooling, right framework, because everything is getting onto cloud first, because the scale of processing need to be there for the large data models. So cloud first, you have to bring in all the data on the cloud, because you will be needing not only processing capability, but GPUs to perform better, because you're talking multimodal model. You are now creating the data model, which requires not only transaction, but requires other, and you're talking about knowledge graph to build the knowledge graph, right? So that means we have to look at the cloud first strategy. Is your application or the workload is combination of on-premise and cloud? That means we have to unify that, and then look at the cloud vendors who are also giving a lot of services to augment that. Then under cloud environment, what should be the data layer? Whether the data is residing into multiple data repository, we have to revisit on that. Whether it's database relational model, whether it's a NoSQL, then we talk about the graph data model, right? And then we go ahead and look at what are the models which is emerging on LLMs. So we are now talking about the enterprise base. That means you're talking about your departmental language model, your enterprise language model, not internet language model, right? So that means if I'm looking at marketing database, marketing language model, I have to slice and dice and create. Obviously, that requires to have a lot of knowledge repository mapped onto it. So what is the context protocol or context generation? NCP is the right way to augment it, and then generate prompt based on that. Then you are training those, and many tools and technology is now providing in that. For example, if I just name a few, Google Gemini has come in, Anthropic Cloud has come in, then NVIDIA Grok has come in, and so forth. GPT-5 has come in from OpenAI, right? So we will be putting evaluation of all of that based on the specific use cases. But again, as I had through the name, it will qualify based on the business use cases and requirement of the organization and the consumption of those GPU, because these are not going to be that cheap. It has, based on the processes, based on the consumption of that, it will also require cloud consumption, right? So compute infrastructure, the processing infrastructure, data infrastructure, all of that will have some service component, cost component. Based on the cost benefit analysis, that right recommendation will go to deploy. And the last but not the least, GIVCO data governance, data privacy, data security, because those are the concerns most of the enterprises are having in the discussion. How about data privacy? Is my data going to be taken away? Answer is no. Think about you're building your analytics system within your database. It's your company, your data, your analytics. Nobody's taking it away from you. The same notion will come with an enterprise language model or enterprise AI for your business. It's you. If you are getting complete intelligence to your people, and we are augmenting your people to take the right decision, to make to make you smarter. So that notion is going away. Data governance. Data will be governed by the cloud service provider. That's what I put the whole thing. Cloud first. Data governance, data security will be taken care of and ensured based on by the cloud vendor, because you are selecting based on their SLA, their compliance, and that is the right way to do it. So once we give you all that metrics in terms of the compliance, about certification, about the security, governance, and compliance, you are rest assured that your data is your secure vault data, highly secured and private. Now you are giving access to that intelligence system to your people to perform better. And now that is the magic. If you are giving the right tool to the right departmental head, your organization becomes very smart in performance. Result to be obvious. A smart business, a smart results. You are dealing with a customer so personal, they are liking your business, they are buying more and more products and services from you, and your revenue grows up. When your revenue grows up, you are contributing to the economy of your state and the country. Why country leaders are talking about this? Because they know that if businesses are smarter, they are attracting customers across the border, their economy is going to grow. And that's why I have been invited to talk at a different level. Remember when I went to United Nations in Vienna, a lot of concerns were discussed about this. What about country level bias? I said, you're always talking about country level bias because you're talking about internet. Internet is a stateless, right? But internet is also giving you a lot of intelligence. Mm-hmm. You have to take that intelligence, took that global intelligence, put into your perspective so that you become local, deploy that intelligence into the local. So that bias is removed of the global, and that can be done in the local. They were very happy about it. Then they said monetization. Why only you monetize about the data? We said that no, technology innovation is not governed by anybody. Yeah. You can also be innovative. So any emerging country is now taking the advantage of this scale to become smarter and to get into the forefront to grow in terms of the global economy. Right. Nobody's stopping anybody. It's all about innovation, how you bring the innovation, how you be the first. That is the question. I'm always appealing the C-suite, CEO, CFO, CMO. You be the first to lead the way, then you will drive the business. Right. Me too will not work. Me too will be the followers.
When we're looking at about being first and using the technology to innovate the way you want, because it's not governed, it's available for everyone to apply it the way they want to apply it. We're talking about things that we're seeing first. One of the examples that I have here in front of me is Lovable, the company Lovable. I think it's an example of the fastest growing company in the history, and it's projected that it's not going to be the only one, that this is the pattern that we'll kind of start to see going forward in 2026. So when we're looking at companies like that that are massively adapting and changing, because they're using the technology to empower other business on top of it. So it's not just for them in a sense. How do you see businesses going in 2026, scaling wise? How will they change? What are the stuff that you are seeing that is being talked about in 2026 that it's in the works? Because we talked about what is real, what is happening, how to start using this, how to start planning, and how to map it out. Let's talk about the future a little bit. What are the things that you're seeing as emerging technologies that will be real for us in 2026?
Excellent question, Zivko. I have seen that mushroom growth of a startup in the space of AI, right? The same paradigm which was there in .com. Everything on .com, right? So many .com bubble burst. Same thing is projected for 2026 that if you're touching on a very small benefits using that, that will diminish over time because I see the benefit of, let's say, you are doing on this small thing which you can do with one agent.
Hmm.
Okay, but what is the business value, right? So it's a quantification of business value, and then I move on, right? So I can use for 3 months, and then I don't see much value, then I'll unsubscribe your service. So many a startup, if they are only going with the wills and fills and whistles on those features, probably they will not sustain long. As long as it is going to impact on business productivity very substantial, they are going to sustain and grow, right? Same thing happens with the large organization. Large organization, if they are adopting and deploying any solution of this kind, it should be very thoughtful, thought through across the board. And they should not be taking short-term approach. They will sustain and grow. Because if you're looking at, let me see how that performs, half-hearted, that means you have subscribed to one and then you're saying, this is not working, right? That means this is going to go away. They will also not be able to sustain on the AI benefits, right? So that means 2026, what I'm seeing out of many startup, only the serious one will sustain. The investors' money will always be looked at how they are judging, which are more robust in terms of people, in terms of their thinking, in terms of adding to the business gain, right? It's not only technology play that I'm helping in the code design, I'm helping into this, and that will help to a certain extent, but it will has to go down to the track of business productivity for the larger business. And that application shift is coming up now. Many serious players have jumped in to use those tools and technology which has been deployed, proven, being used for the benefit of business productivity, and they will deliver the value in 2026. So I gave you example of customer side of the business in industry vertical. So any company which is going mapping those tools of the AI to improve the marketing, sales, service, what we call entire life cycle of customer 360, they will do better job. Not only CRM system, right? They will grow very, very faster with users of this tool. If we are looking at procurement, supply chain, again, that is a process of doing that. So there is a application of supply chain, procurement, all of that. But the vendors of AI solution coming into mapping of those, incorporating those technology of AI, helping them to do smarter supply chain logistics management, they are going to grow much faster because business are going to use them for their effectiveness of AI. They will survive and grow much faster in terms of number of products and services. If I'm going to the financial system is also augmenting with the AI capability. So let's say receivable, payable, GL, balance sheet, P&L, all is getting augmented with the AI. Even if you're doing basic books of that, if it is done through AI lens or AI skill sets, you are much smarter. That company will go much longer way in the journey. And they will not be short term, they will be long term. Because they understand the nuances of business to bring in the AI capability. So 2026 is all about real business use cases transformed based on the AI models. And we are right in the center with the right advisement, right consulting, with the right framework, right data governance, and right solutions. That's the mantra for 2026.
It's uh, it's it makes it more real because you can start attaching examples. As you were explaining it, I just started remembering, even when past the .com, when the apps, there's an app for that, there's an app for that. There were so many apps that were basically like merged into the operating systems, like the applications that were for like weather and stuff. They just kept making the other ones better from like Google and from Apple. They kept just merging those features. They don't need to buy the company. just take those features and include it into ours because we already have that access.
Right,
So
right, right.
I started to envision that as you were explaining, if someone is like, yeah, you have this like little agent, well, good, Google will just make that one and include it into GitHub, and then there you go, Copilot now is just ridiculously 10 times better than anything small that you created. So the burst, that's kind of what you were saying. It's now it's a little bit of, we don't know. So there's gimmicky stuff, but in 2026 is like true productivity. These are the strategies, the consultations that you need to do. This is the map you need to do. And now you just find the tools that you can do those things. There's no more gimmicks. There's no more small AI that will check your emails or a small AI that will do those things. It's more, how do you how do you put all these things together to increase productivity? Because that is what, at least that's what it sounds. It sounds like the models in 2026 will be measures on how much productivity they improve in the businesses. Is that kind of the right direction?
Absolutely. And that is what I'm seeing the boardroom discussion going in. They will not be looking at the app services. They'll be looking at the right credible consulting organization to come in and help them to transition from where they are to AI ready business. Because without expert hands, trust is not established.
Mhm.
You are not going to bet on your business with small, tiny applications to transition on the AI. Rather, somebody need to give you a very methodical way to deploy it, right from bottom baseline to process mapping to data layer, then integration, data security, data governance, then roll it out what should work in a pragmatic way, phased way, quarter on quarter, metrics delivered. And that is the journey CEO, CFO, CMO are ready to commit on. And
Okay.
nothing better than a credible party to come in to play with that. Credibility establishes based on what you're bringing on the table with your background. The background is not the just aggressive technology which you're showing on the PowerPoint or on the demo, rather consistent overview of roadmap for them, where you are taking them forward in the journey. 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. So that means if you break it up into a very pragmatic deployment approach, people will love it. And they do have the wallet, they do have the budget to try for transition. But somebody need to handhold them.
Mm.
And that is what I see a lot of larger projects coming up. And they are not going to fail. That also is very clear in my mind. If you do it things right at first time, you are not going to fail. And that's the guidance to the decision makers.
Got it. Got it. It's a start the journey. Started with a trusted partner and advisor because the transformations are happening, and it feels like going forward it's just a matter of this person did XYZ transformations already, so you want to go with that trusted advisor because they've done this at scale with 4 or 5, 6 companies, and that will be the norm going forward. Just what we saw back in the day when people were trying to transition to digital marketing, to digital advertising, and all these are the next steps basically. Now, Alak, if people were listening to this and like, fantastic, this is a lot of great stuff, how do people get a hold of you to work with you or to talk with you?
Absolutely. So I'm available on LinkedIn. So you can always look me up on LinkedIn, Twitter, or on my whatever profile, ping me, I will be easily available. And Zivko, again, people can reach out through you as you are a great host in your domain. People love you and listen to you. So I'll be very happy to coordinate with you.
Fantastic. Appreciate the time that you took today. You've given us a lot of stuff to think about, and I think the most important piece was a clear path forward. Start talking with the right consultant. Start talking with them. Start mapping and planning this journey because it is a journey. Remove the FOMO. Start talking with your trusted advisor and start planning how you're going to do that transition. So I appreciate the time you took today and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me today and lovely talking to you, Zivko.